McKnight tonight. McKnight tonight.
Wrong again.
McKnight tonight. McKnight tonight.
I've seen that since university.
Funny insightful interviews from a watchdog producer. McKnight tonight. McKnight tonight. McKnight tonight. Here comes McKnight tonight.
Welcome to McKnight Tonight. Now, here's Rob McKnight.
Hello and welcome to McKnight Tonight for this Thursday, the 14th of August, 2025. It's Tipsy Thursday. I've gone for the white wine. What are you drinking? Amanda, what are you drinking? Oh, she's got the white wine with me. Cheers, Amanda. Happy Tipsy Thursday. She needs a few drinks to get through this. Mummy's little helper. Let me know what you're drinking in the comment section of this video on Facebook and YouTube. And we love it when you watch the show on YouTube because it does help us monetize the show. Just go to youtube.com/@McKnightTonight. I will get to your feedback soon. I genuinely love the little community we've created here at McKnight Tonight. People actually get online almost like an hour before the show goes to air and they start talking to each other. It's a fabulous thing, always led by Jeanette. Jeanette is always the first person. Cheers to you, Jeanette. All right, let's get into it. Coming up in this edition of McKnight Tonight, a follow-up on that story I brought you last night about 5-year-olds being taught their body parts might not match their gender, and why that story led to a spray from the Victorian Premier. Why you can't believe everything you read, a story made the opposition leader look silly today, and then the PM looked like the cat who ate the canary. Is this the most entitled wanker ever to appear on the 7:30 report? And I'll speak with Melissa Downs and Joel Dry from 9 News Queensland about some very big changes coming to the nightly news. All right, let's get into our hot topics. At the end of last night's show, I covered a story on the Australian website that had just dropped. The paper revealed Victoria's Education Department had updated its Respectful Relationships curriculum. It recommends teaching 5-year-olds that their body parts may not match their gender and introducing a case study of a transgender girl named Stacey. Now look, the program's critics, including psychiatrists and parents, warn it's the start of a so-called school-to-clinic pipeline, pushing children towards gender clinics without adequate parental consent. I said there would be a backlash. And there was, leading to Victoria's Premier to lash out at journalists.
I back the Respectful Relationships program and the curriculum that is all about protecting kids, strengthening resilience of kids and supporting kids to be who they are across our schools, to help other kids understand why respecting difference is so important. So this ongoing campaign against the Respectful Relationships by the Australian does not recognise the transformative difference this program is making every single day in schools.
There are some children, though, that there are some parents of children who do identify as transgender or non-binary that feel like that there's a school-to-clinic pipeline. What would you say to those?
That's just nonsense. It's disgraceful nonsense. Like, seriously. This sort of ongoing attack on a program that is making a difference in kids' lives just should be stopped. It should be stopped. It's disgraceful reporting. It's hurtful. When you consider the incidents that transgender kids are 15 times more likely to kill themselves, we should be supporting them. We should be supporting them across our schools, across our society, across our community. The Australia needs to stop this ongoing campaign because it's hurtful and harmful.
Whoa, hang on. You cannot just attack reporters because they're reporting a point of view that you don't like or they're questioning something that you don't want questioned. Her anger there was palpable. But the idea that 5-year-olds are being taught that just because you have a vagina doesn't mean you're a girl, just because you have a penis doesn't mean you're a boy, that is something that needs to be discussed in the community. Do we want 5-year-olds taught this? Now, at the end of the day, I'm glad Respectful Relationships is doing some good, fantastic, and there should be resources there for people who need it, for kids that need it. And if there's a 5-year-old who's expressing that they have questions about their sexual identity, I am so glad there's a place they can go. But that doesn't mean every kid needs to be taught this progressive view. And I don't mean progressive in a negative viewpoint there. I have a problem with the idea that what we're discussing here is, some would call it woke. It is certainly progressive, but it is different to possibly the values people have at home. And transgender shouldn't be about values, but what it should be is that every parent has the right to have some thought process about what they want their kids taught at what age. Now, I wouldn't want my children at 5 taught this, but at 13, I'd be more open to it. But they're talking about teaching 5-year-olds. So just because the Australian reports a legitimate story doesn't mean it's a campaign. Maybe there has been a campaign by the Australian. That doesn't invalidate it. That means there is a social issue here that this resource, this program is doing, that has questions surrounding it. Questions for the community about what is and isn't acceptable. Her anger was just, I think it's outrageous, actually. She's so dismissive. And you can tell she just thinks Australian right-wing paper just out to get us because we're on the left. Maybe true. I don't know. But there are legitimate concerns around kids at 5 being taught that just because you have a vagina doesn't make you a girl. These are seriously mature concepts. Things that people do grapple with. But give those people the resources. This is not a one-size-fits-all, and I understand that you're trying to be inclusive. This isn't the way to do it. And don't get angry because people are asking questions and exposing something that you tried to slip in quietly. This has been in there for months. But you didn't make an announcement. You just slipped it in. And it got discovered. And that seems to be what she's angry about. All right, let me know your thoughts in the comment section of this video. And while you're at it, have a sip of your drink. It is Tipsy Thursday after all. And every time you see the McKnight Tonight stinger, let's have a drink. All right, it's been a confusing 24 hours when it comes to Australia's position on Palestine. There have been claims and counterclaims. On Wednesday night, the Australian dropped what looked like a political grenade. Hamas, the terrorist organisation, had apparently praised Anthony Albanese's political courage for recognising Palestine. Now, the paper, and I've got the 14th of August there, but the paper is actually labelled with today's date, but the article first popped up last night. Within hours, news.com.au and even The Guardian were running with it. Opposition MPs were gleefully piling on, and the headlines were flowing faster than fact checks. It even prompted opposition leader Susan Lee to go into attack mode.
The Prime Minister has said he's not a cheerleader for Hamas. The problem is that Hamas is a cheerleader for him. And when you have terrorists cheering on your foreign policy, you know that you've got it wrong. Now, we know that the Prime Minister said he made this decision because Hamas did not support it. Hamas did not support his decision, but instead we see Hamas coming out in full-throated praise of the Prime Minister. He must reverse this decision because when terrorists are cheerleaders for your foreign policy, you need to think again.
There's just one little problem. It would appear as though the story isn't true. Today, the Australian Financial Review revealed Hamas had denied making those comments. Turns out the quote, supposedly from an imprisoned Hamas co-founder, was bogus. Suddenly, all those gotcha moments didn't look so sharp. And the Prime Minister, he was eating it up.
And I notice in the statement that's made today, they say that the alleged statement from the person yesterday is someone who's been in prison in Israel since October 2023 and has no means of communication. What that should be is a warning to the media of being very careful about the fact that Hamas will engage in propaganda, because what is happening is the international community are united about isolating Hamas.
And this is where everyone needs to be careful, because ultimately you can't trust anything Hamas says. So the Australian got it wrong, and I just stuck up for the Australian a moment ago. I supported their reporting on the gender teaching, but they got it wrong here. And the problem is when an organisation as big and trustworthy as the Australian gets it wrong, and I know there's a lot of people who say you can't trust anything Murdoch says, but come on, these are respectable newspapers that strive to get things right. But when they get it wrong, it has a flow-on effect. And Susan Lee's in a position where she is, it feels like she's just searching for something to go to war with the PM on. You know, she jumped at this opportunity. She's finding a wedge with Palestine and Israel, and she thinks she can get in there and drive a wedge, political wedge with the PM. The problem is she's reacted to a story that wasn't true. So will she retract those comments now? And there was also that one about the Productivity Commission. The Department of Treasury gave advice detailing what they expected to come out of the meeting, and she's going, oh, it's a fix, it's a fix. That just seems like desperate politics. That's what departments do. They give out advice. They assume what might happen, and then they'll tailor their advice once the results of that roundtable next week are known. And she knows that. I've got to say, the more I see Susan Lee, she seems less and less like a leader of a party. I don't think she'll make it to the next election. The Liberal Party missed a beat by not making this person the leader. Julie Bishop. She absolutely should have become the leader of the Liberal Party, and maybe it wouldn't be in the mess it's in now. But they missed that opportunity. Glad they're looking at females and they're not being discounted. But Susan Lee, I just don't see her making it all the way. I think ultimately she will become a victim and someone else will take that role. Probably Angus Taylor. Because at the moment, it just seems like desperate politics. And we need more than desperate politics. We need an opposition that can actually target Anthony Albanese on the issues, not just scrambling for a soundbite, not just scrambling. What can I disagree with him on? Find the issues, find your path, and go to war with the Labor government on that. At the moment, it just seems desperate. Okay, now it's time for Rob's rant. I still love it. Hey, did you see that interview on the 7:30 report the other night with Atlassian founder Scott Farquhar? Well, he tried to make the case for allowing AI companies to mine copyrighted material, and it just showed what a self-entitled git he is. Let's go through the key points during his 20-minute discussion. I'm not going to play all 20 minutes, but he had a 20-minute discussion with Sarah Ferguson. And I'll start with why Farquhar wants to change our copyright legislation.
You want changes to Australia's copyright law to allow exemptions for AI companies to mine Australian content for text and data for free. Why do you want that?
So copyright's an interesting one, and if I go back a little, copyright exists to basically give artists who create something a right to, almost all the uses of it. And we have a thing called fair use, which says actually society really needs to use it for certain cases. For example, in a legal case, it can be used. In a news article, it can be used. It can be used for parody and satire, which we think of like, of course you can use that, but that was only a recent addition to the Copyright Act.
Oh, was it? A recent change to the Copyright Act. That amendment was made in 2006. That's almost 20 years ago. I'm beginning to think this guy isn't trustworthy. And then there's a reason why news, legal and satire are exempted. News, of course, provides information and details about the story being reported. They could be kept from the public if the owner was able to use copyright protection as a way of keeping a negative story out of the public domain. Imagine if 7, 9, 10, ABC, whoever, News Corp, had to go to the owner of someone who owned footage, like footage that exposed their bad behaviour or even showing their building and tried to get a clearance for copyright. The person wouldn't give it. And of course, legal use in our judicial system, well, that makes perfect sense. And the inclusion of satire was added to protect freedom of expression. AI companies simply want access to this material to build new systems and make those companies millions, if not billions of dollars. Yes, comedians, lawyers, and news companies make money, but their profits aren't just predicated on stealing material like AI companies do. Their use of fair dealing is part of a broader strategy. They deliver news, they deliver satire, they do legal cases. But AI just wants full access to copyrighted material to build their own companies and make money. This is the key difference. Their whole business is based on scraping everything that's ever been made and giving it to a computer so that it can replicate or build on it. But let's pick up as Farquhar explains the implications of not changing our copyright laws.
AI is a broad and transformative technology. At the moment, there is no fair use exemption. We don't say what is fair use, and we don't say what is not fair use. So at the moment, all AI usage of mining or searching or going across data is probably illegal under Australian law, and I think that hurts a lot of investment of these companies in Australia.
So, if these companies can't pay for the rights to use this material, then they don't build a company. It's like saying, I can't afford to pay workers, I should get free labour. No, if you want to build a company, you have to make a case for profit building and you have to be able to cover your costs. Oh no, AI is not going to invest in this country because we're not allowing you to steal work. How bloody entitled is that? This guy thinks it should all be handed to him on a plate. He probably thinks the people that work for him get paid too much. Minimum wage, too much. They should feel privileged to serve me my sandwiches and put my slippers on. So I want to get this clear. Companies should get copyrighted material for free because other countries are doing it, which isn't even true. During that interview, he cited the US, but even the US hasn't come to final conclusions, and there are plenty of court cases happening there. So why can't these AI companies pay for the access? Why should you make money off my work? And now we really get to the moment where you see the sense of entitlement from this guy. Apparently, his objective is much more important than the rights of content creators.
How do you explain to Australian artists that an AI company using their material without recompense is not theft?
So I think everyone would agree if you use AI to copy an artist directly and create a song in their style, that's probably not fair use. I do think people would say that, hey, if people are going to sit down with a digital companion, an AI song creator, and they collaboratively work with an AI to create something new to the world, that's probably fair use.
No, it's not. Even if you're creating something new, you're still basing that off something created by someone else. You're using the artistry that brought that original piece to life in the first place. It's the same reason songs have to credit the writers of the original songs they've sampled in their new song. People joke about the fact Beyonce songs have 23 writers. That's because she sampled music and has to credit the writers of those original songs. She and other singers literally pay for the right to use that music. So how is this any different? When you create something new, you're still basing it off the work of other people. If you're derivative of Taylor Swift, you've copied Taylor Swift. You've used her artistry to create whatever AI comes up with. And in the final part of this is the final part, the ultimate nail in his coffin for his argument. During this interview, Sarah Ferguson asked him a number of times whether Midnight Oil deserved compensation if their music was used to train AI, something Midnight Oil is dead set against. While he tried to avoid answering the question, she finally got this out of him.
But to say there's a fair dealing aspect for all of these use cases.
So Midnight Oil, in my example, can't say no. You don't think they should have the right to say no to their catalogue of work being exploited by a tech company to create another form of chat GPT or whatever it is?
So as a society, I think we should look at what is fair use. I think it's if they're creating something transformative, then I don't think you say no, in the same way they can't say no to a news site saying that. The same way they can't say no to loading that onto your iPod. We as a society say what is fair use. And again, I don't think if you want to copy Midnight Oil and create the next version of their songs, I don't think that is a fair use. If you want to say, hey, I'm going to create a AI that helps you create all sorts of music, in the same way today, if someone created a Taylor Swift song and inspired by them and created one exactly the same, that wouldn't be fair use. But there are plenty of artists that feel inspired by people that have come before them. I think every artist would say they've been inspired by the artists that came before them.
Yeah, but most of them have bought that Bob Dylan album that they're using to inspire them now. They're not expecting to have had all of that material for free along the way. At some point, Bob Dylan got paid to write his album.
You have to look at that these days in terms of how that all works.
She got him. She got him. He didn't have an answer for that. And can you believe that this guy actually thinks that Midnight Oil shouldn't have the right to say they don't want their music used by AI? He literally says they don't get a say. The difference here is that news does reporting, comedy shines a mirror to ourselves. Legal people are using material for defense. They're not using it to create an alternative. Basically, he's saying, we want all your music, all your scripts, everything you've ever created, so that we can do what you do with AI. Yeah, it's going to sound different to Taylor Swift writing a song, but it's still got elements of Taylor Swift in there. And how can this idiot, this self-entitled git, not see that that's wrong? If you want it, pay for it. Do deals for it. Don't be a leech on society and just scrape what you want and then make billions. You'll sell this technology. I'll end up having to subscribe to it while you're lining your own coffers off the work of other people. You piece of poo. That's Rob's rant. Oh, no stinger. All right. Give us the stinger. I love that stinger, Amanda. Oh, I forgot to load Travis's one up. Monday, Travis. Monday. All right. Let me know. Actually, let's get to your thoughts. We'll do a random live shot of the day and then we'll do some feedback. You are watching McKnight Tonight.
It's the random live shot of the day. Where are you going today? You never know where you'll end up with the random live shot of the day.
And our random live shot of the day takes us to Ilulissat, Greenland, where the famous iceberg cam offers a serene window into one of the planet's most breathtaking landscapes. Here, massive icebergs, carved from the mighty Jokatvan Glacier. I don't think that's how it's pronounced. I looked at the first word. I looked at Ilulissat, but I didn't look at Jokatvan. Jokatvan Glacier drifts slowly through the icy waters of the UNESCO-listed ice fjord, and now the auto cue's not working. A reminder of both nature's beauty and its power. And on this silent, chilly stage, you could almost hear the glacier story. 35 billion tons of ice breaking free each year, shaping our understanding of glaciers and climate. Beautifully written. Oh, climate change. I missed the last word. Climate work. That worked, Amanda. Oh my goodness. Beautiful scene though. Apparently it's 10:24 in the morning there. It looks like sunset. Anyway, that's a beautiful shot. Speaking of beautiful shots, this is the worst segue ever. Let's take a look at some beautiful feedback coming through to McKnight Tonight. And Daniel Graham Rose says, woohoo! Tipsy Thursday. Oh, Daniel, I'll drink to that. Own Your Own Crazy. Own Your Crazy says teaching students to respectful relationships when I was in primary school would have been as basic as encouraging us to be kind to one another. So true. So true. Over the page we go. And Justine says, I'm all for teaching kids kindness, respect and inclusion. I just feel that at 5 years old, there's still so little and conversations about identity can be confusing at that age. If a child truly needs support in this area, absolutely they should have it. I just think it's better when those discussions happen at a time that feels right for the individual child and with their family who can support them. Comment of the week. I completely agree with that, Justine. It makes sense. And it was disingenuous for the Victorian Premier to get upset about that reporting just because she didn't like it. I have no time for that. Jimmy says the merry-go-round of the opposition, nothing new there. So true. So well, it even used to happen with prime ministers. Michael T says Susan Lee is a stopgap leader. True. But I do dislike the term opposition leader. It should be alternative leader. You don't have to oppose everything for the sake of it. Do better. And that's exactly what's happening here at the moment. It's just if you say it's blue, we'll say it's black. It's just go the opposite way. Nicole says, I don't understand AI at all. Well, you know what, Nicole, that's okay. What I need everyone to understand is how these AI companies are trying to steal copyrighted material. That's the key. But AI helps you in everything. If your GPS changes the way you go, that's AI. If Spotify recommends you a new song that you haven't heard before, that's AI. So it takes all the knowledge that it has, it learns what you need, and it tailors accordingly. It's not a human making those changes. That's all AI. Own Your Crazy says, how much is Rob paying Amanda and Jazz again? Oh, that's a bit rough. They're investors in the whole McKnight Tonight production. If we ever make some money, they'll make money too. Michael T says, copyright is about protecting the original creators of a piece of work. AI creators, like anyone else, should not have the right to use any work without permission or recompense. Simple. Could not agree more, Michael. Very, very good. Thank you for all the feedback coming through to McKnight Tonight. Tell you what, I know that first segment was very long. I had a lot to rant about, but let's meet some people who I think it'll be good to get their perspective on some changing things happening in the world of TV news.
It's a different take
Oh my God, she's a Republican. She must be racist.
on the news of the day.
A kid should have the right to punch back against a bully without consequences.
Join Rob McKnight for the home internet streaming show that's very different to the rest.
My BS detector is going through the roof.
Streaming live Monday to Thursday at 9 p.m.
I am so pumped for McKnight Tonight.
Subscribe now at youtube.com/@McKnight Tonight.
Well, on Monday, a new chapter begins at 9 News Queensland. After 17 years at the desk, Melissa Downs will be joined by a new co-presenter, Joel Dry. He's replacing the legendary Andrew Lofthouse. It's a big change for Queensland's #1 news service. So to find out what we can expect, Melissa and Joel, welcome to McKnight Tonight.
Hello, Rob.
Thanks for having us, Rob.
You didn't get the message. It's Tipsy Thursday and you don't have your wine.
Well, that you can see anyway. We don't like to put that there, but as you well know, there's a couple of tables under here that carry all things for emergency situations, and a little nip of whiskey maybe hiding.
Bit of Dutch courage on Monday, Joel?
Well, I'm hoping not to rely on it, but I'm sure there'll be a couple of nerves in the last few minutes as the opener rolls. But I will go without, at least for Monday.
But you know what? I always say live TV, you've always got to have a little bit of a sense of anticipation because you never know what can happen. So you have to be on, you have to be, ready. And that's actually part of the fun of live TV is getting that little bit of an adrenaline a little bit of
I would like everything on Monday to go smoothly, but yes, when those little gremlins find their way into the system, that's the, as you know, Rob, that's what people sometimes like to see, perverse pleasure in seeing things go wrong. But if we could just keep it all smooth sailing for Monday, that would be great.
Yeah, indeed. Well, live TV things can go wrong, but Joel, Nine News Queensland. It's a dominant number one, and you're replacing the legendary Andrew Lofthouse, so there is no pressure on you, is there?
Well, I'm not feeling any pressure, Rob, at all. We don't talk about ratings. I've been told reliably that things are going quite well, but I'm confident that just sliding in next to Melissa will see me pretty straight. So, look, following in the footsteps of Lofty is a huge task. He has been such a legend of the newsroom, of the Queensland mediascape, and just such a great bloke. And so I've been chatting to a few people, and I'm not going to try to emulate his reading. We all need to sort of craft our own sort of niche and tone and style. But if I can emulate anything, it's Lofty's presence and just work in the newsroom. The fact that he was always so generous to me and to all the other journos there. So that's what I'm trying to follow in his footsteps, to be as good a bloke as Lofty. And if I can get anywhere near his reading, then that'll be a win also.
Well, that's a very good point. Melissa, you've been reading solo for some time now. How have rehearsals been going this week with Joel sitting beside you?
Really good. They've actually been very comfortable as I could have hoped, and to have that kind of rapport. I feel like we've had these promo shoots and some media interviews and all of that, and it all is part of getting to know each other. I mean, we've known each other for years, so it's not that we don't know each other, but in this specific environment.
And you're looking pretty good there in those pictures together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We
a lot of people to get it to that stage.
Yes,
at least
exactly.
For me, anyway.
There's the whole team lighting. But I often say it's a bit like getting a new dancing partner. You have to learn not to step on each other's toes, or when one is going to step in and step back, and
tango,
salsa, waltz. We'll see. It depends what the bulletin is. But there's I feel like there is a natural comfortableness already. And then there's another part of it that just comes with doing it. And Monday and beyond will bring.
And I think naturally a lot of people were interested to see how you look together, how you gel together. And I hadn't seen Melissa. We've been chatting while I've been overseas, but I hadn't seen her until we did that first promo shoot where you saw that photo. And we were just chatting away. We've got a lot of stuff to catch up on, talking family, kids, babysitting, cooking, all of that sort of stuff. So much so that there was a lot of people involved in that promo, and a lot of stuff going on, and occasionally they were like,
stop talking.
No talking, enough chat. Let's
do
focus.
the thing.
Well, it's important when they bring people from Sydney to do the promos, and in conjunction with the local people. But I have heard, my spies have told me that the newsroom has been impressed with your rehearsals together. How's it been going for you, Joel? Are you happy with how you're fitting in?
I think so. What I would tell people is what I was most interested to see how it would go is the mechanics of a bulletin. I've read, plenty of bulletins, both here in 9 and at 7, mostly single reader. So for me, it was about, dealing with the different cameras, the different turns, where you got to go. So the actual reading part, the tone and the getting the words right, I'm confident that I'll be able to get there eventually. But it was more so just getting my head around Melissa's camera, my camera, how we operate. So that's been, a process, but I think each one we've been doing, I'm feeling more and more confident, and the feedback has been good. The boss seems happy.
Yep.
They keep inviting me back each day. So
and it's true. I mean, your spy is right, but the general consensus in the newsroom is it's an exciting feeling. I mean, it is a regeneration of the newsroom or the news, and everyone in the newsroom, we're all in it together. So it's important to them that we get it right. And so there is definitely a feeling of this is exciting. It's looking, it feels good. It's looking good. It's and it's just getting on with it now.
Yeah. Well, Joel, this is a big shift for your family. Your wife, Jess Millwood, who I was the executive producer of when she was filling in for Sophie Formica at 4BC, great person. But she's still in London serving as Nine's European correspondent. You've brought your young son home to Queensland. How is that all going?
Not yet, Rob. You'll get me sad, teary. Not yet. So he's still there. My mother-in-law very generously offered to travel over to London because of Jess's role as Europe correspondent, which she's been doing such an incredible job at. It is the type of job, there's phone calls in the middle of the night, you're off anywhere, in Europe or Middle East. So she has to have someone there that can help with her son. He's very independent.
So sorry, I thought he was coming back with you.
No, don't always believe everything you read, Rob. It's he's still in London for now, but is returning in a few weeks. So my mother-in-law brings him back. So
gotcha.
It's a difficult time difficult time for the family, but it's one we both committed to. We sat down and had a real hard chat about, can we make this work? Is it something that we want to make work? And I've been really conscious of not cutting Jess's time over there short. At least keep that to as short as possible. The time that she's going to be, it's a 2-year posting. It will be cut short by a little while, but so to be able to juggle and with family support and both of us on board, it's her dream job. She's been doing so well at it. I want to let her continue to thrive over there for as long as possible. Selfishly, we would like to be together all the time, but we're both career people, and the fact that we can both support each other in careers and dream jobs, I think it speaks volumes of our little tight-knit family group. Not that everyone wants to hear about our little family, but no, I'm very proud of her. And
it's part of who you are, mate. It is important.
Yeah, so for now I'm batching. I would like a little bit more help unpacking the house, but it's just me.
I said no to that.
Well, come on, Melissa. I know you used to pick out Lofty's tie. Surely you can help Joel move in.
We've already had the conversation about how the suit and the tie combo works. So, how we... Because after 17 years, I have a routine.
Yes.
I've got a routine. But Joel's happy to fit in with that.
Well, that's good. And Joel, has it been determined what Jess will do when she gets back?
No. I chatted to her about this the other day. She is so laser focused on the job that she has at the moment. That's always been the case. So she doesn't want to think too much about what she does when she comes back. It will be in this building, in some form. I suspect she'll just come back to doing the job that she was doing so well beforehand. She's got so much more experience now. She will be, probably, if not one of the most experienced journos in the room. I know Brendan Hockings, the news director here, is itching to get that experience back amongst the fold. So she did, when I took this job, I think her words were something like, that newsroom's not big enough for the both of us, but she's had a bit of time to think about that. We did meet in the newsroom, so that worked out well. It will be an interesting dynamic to go back to working together, but no, she'll be here somewhere, and just whatever she does, she'll keep doing an incredible job.
Fantastic. Melissa, will there be any changes to the bulletin with the arrival of Joel? As I said, 9 News is number one. So it's just about enhancing the bulletin, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's enhancing. And I think it's that thing of newsrooms always go through these regenerations or renewals, and this is just part of that. And in a way, I feel like Joel is bringing Joel in at almost, well, not future proofing, but it's a long-term decision that Joel coming in now and he'll be here for a long time.
As long as they'll have me.
As long as they'll have you. So I think that in that way, I think it's great. He's obviously experienced, but he brings that youth and vitality and keenness that is so important in a newsroom, and that hunger to chase and follow stories and get the best perspective on stories that we can. And newsrooms need that. And so that's, I'm excited that Joel's bringing that.
And there's a couple of mechanical things that viewers won't really realise, but when you change up a team, it gives you an opportunity just to rejig things, little change of side you sit on and different camera movements and all those little things that really won't be noticeable to viewers, but it just gives us a chance to change things. Obviously it was going great beforehand, doesn't need to change, but just when you get this opportunity to do it, you can just tweak a few things and freshen it up.
Yeah, and the thing we've talked about, which is why for us, we both feel it's so important to have the two readers, is that when there are two of you, it means that when the situation requires, one of you can go out into the field and cover the story much more easily than when it's me. So single reader. So earlier in the year when we had Cyclone Alfred, I had to go out and I think I did 4 bulletins, the whole bulletin out on location. Whereas if you have two, you have the one in the studio, there was one out in the field, you cross to them, they cover everything that's going on there, and then the one in studio, finishes off the rest of the day's news, which is a much easier process. And both of us coming from, being a journalist, we love getting out in the field. So you want to be able to do that. So having two means that you can do that. And also being out and talking to people is how you stay connected to the community and the people that you're talking to every night. And it means that you do, I think, you read the news differently because you know who you're talking to, you know who's watching, and it really helps build that connection and that trust that you have with your viewers.
And there's a lot that goes into it. There's often a misconception that readers walk in the door at 5:30, sit in the chair and read the 6 p.m. bulletin.
To be honest, they did used to do that.
Maybe they did. That does not happen anymore.
There's a few differences from the old days to now. But yeah, there's so many parts of the day that Melissa has been carrying solo for a long time. So physically reading the bulletin from 6 to 7 is one thing, but all the other elements that happen during the day that she has had to do exclusively herself. So I'm here to help, here if you need in the netball parlance. And just to be able to help shoulder that load, it means that we can, as a team, spend a bit more time focusing in on the bulletin so that we can deliver the best one for Queenslanders.
Well, fantastic. Joel Dry, he will be joining Melissa Downs as the new co-host of 9 News Queensland on Monday night. Guys, it is Tipsy Thursday, so cheers to you. And
cheers. Water. Here we go.
Is that vodka?
Cheers, Rob.
Yeah, we'll say it is. Melissa and Joel.
It's yesterday's water.
Anyway, cheers. Thanks for joining us on McKnight tonight, and good luck. Break a leg.
Good on you. Thank you.
Bye.
Here comes McKnight tonight.
I tell you what, they've got chemistry and they're up for a chat. They don't mind hanging out together and having a chat. I think they're going to do pretty well. I was skeptical. I'll say it. I was a little bit skeptical, but I actually think they're going to do pretty well together. They seem to get on, and it'll be interesting to see how 9 News goes on Monday. You can see them together on Monday at 9 News at 6 and right here in Queensland. All right, let's have a look at some feedback coming into McKnight tonight. And Justine says, woo, comment of the week. Does that mean I win a McKnight tonight mug? No. I've taken a loss as it is. I need more people to buy them so we can actually get into the black. So no, Justine, no freebies. I may even have to sell this one. All right. Spencer Howson says, hang on, is Joel going to sit on Melissa's left? Lofty was always on her right. That is their seating position. They sat that way purposely, and you will notice that they're that way in the promo shots as well in the photo shots. So yeah, that's how they're going to be, Spencer. Radio Notes podcast says, sad to hear of David Stratton's passing today. Thinking of chemistry? Yeah, very sad news. And it's one of those things, isn't it, with David Stratton passing, that you just go, oh, it's just one of those things that hits you because he was such a big part of our television scene. Yeah, very, very sad news today. Craig says, great rant, 100% agree with you. And honestly, who wants to hear AI music or read an AI book? Love the show. Thank you, Craig. Good to see you on the feedback. Also coming through to McKnight tonight. Own Your Crazy says, check out Melissa and Joel's random live shop, Brisbane After Dark. Yeah, the shop behind them. Yeah, fair enough. Michael T says, since the start of TV in Australia, what has engaged most is live TV, whether news, sport, reality events, or award events. Viewers embrace the commitment to it. So true. So, and Justine has said, can't blame a girl for trying. Oh, and On You Crazy says, meanwhile, look at Rob, all at the desk, all alone. I love my desk, though. I do. I've got this whole space to myself. Hello. Sorry, Amanda. All right. That brings us to the end of McKnight Tonight for another week. I will be back on Monday at 9 o'clock. And don't forget, Media McKnight on Tuesdays. And on Monday, big announcement, a new project I'm working on. I will have one of the guests from that project, and we will give you a bit of a inside look as to what that project is all about. Let me tell you, what can I say? If you're a fan of some old afternoon TV, I think you're going to like what we got cooked up. I've joined forces with a few TV famous faces and lots of commentators, and we'll have something very special coming your way very soon. All right, that is me for another week. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Jasmine. I'm Robin. It's good night from McKnight. Tipsy Thursday.
McKnight tonight. It's good enough.